Could Ben Glenroy have been killed by a ghost? Welcome back, everybody. It's your old pal Jason here. Let's talk Only Murders in the Building, Season 3. Today, I'll be talking about Episode 6, titled Ghost Light. At the top of the video, I will talk clues, Easter eggs, suspects, and theories, and then in the latter portion, I will give my thoughts on the episode. That being said, before I get started, I will be talking major spoilers, so if you haven't seen Season 3, Episode 6 of Only Murders in the Building yet, and you don't want it ruined for you, stop the video, head over to Hulu, check it out, then come on back, and we can talk about it. But now that we're past the spoiler warning, let's get back to sleuthing, shall we? First off, this episode's Easter egg can be found after the show's title flashes across the screen. Just as we pan back to see the silhouette of the trio, a sandbag falls between Charles and Oliver, representing, of course, the two sandbags that fall and nearly hit Charles in the early portion of the episode. So Oliver, now in possession of Loretta's scrapbook, is trying to make sense of everything. It's very clear that Loretta had something to do with Ben's death, but he doesn't want Loretta to have something to do with Ben's death. Meanwhile, Howard is convinced that he's the one who killed Ben Glenroy by not completing a nightly ritual to appease the ghost of Gideon Gooseberry in the Gooseberry Theater on opening night. Charles and Oliver also discover that Taubert and Mabel are quite intimate, and Mabel has started investigating with Taubert, much to their chagrin. Oliver decides to go with Howard to investigate the Gooseberry Theater, probably to convince himself that it wasn't Loretta, and if it was Loretta, most likely to cover her tracks to save the woman that he's falling in love with and his show. So the group of them, minus Taubert, go to the Gooseberry Theater, where upon arriving, and after Charles points out the stage's ghost light is nearly hit with two falling sandbags. They all go to get KT, and Howard goes with her to try to make sure everything's up and up on stage, while everyone else decides to investigate. Oliver goes back to Ben's dressing room to compare the two handwritings and notices it's true. Loretta did write the words effing pig on the mirror. After hearing some noise coming from the ceiling, he goes up into the attic, where he discovers Death Rattle's original director, Jerry, an old friend of Oliver. Jerry's been living in the attic and has seen quite a bit, including the scuffle between Loretta and Ben and Charles. Something that, of course, Oliver did not know. Now, Charles is reeling from the breakup with Joy, and she left behind nothing but her fish, President McKinley. So Charles is using that fish as a coping mechanism for dealing with the loss of that relationship. Charles gets locked in a closet with President McKinley for a nice long time, feeling isolated and alone. Mabel, on the other hand, while trying to investigate, encounters Taubert, who came along because he was following Jonathan, who went to the theater to see Dr. C. So the two of them go together and confront Jonathan, who has a big old bag of medication. Now, of course, he reveals it's because his anxiety has increased since becoming leading man, and he doesn't want to deal with the pressure, so Dr. C gave him what's called the leading man package, which includes a bunch of different medications, including some amphetamines, which Mabel realizes is a bit strange because it didn't come up in Ben's autopsy, considering Dr. C gave Ben the same thing. Mabel and Taubert see Charles come out of the closet after a lengthy period of time where he fumbled around, not realizing that he had his Jimmy keys on him. And in his conversation with Jerry, Oliver realizes that the show means more to him than the investigation. So he runs into Ben's dressing room and proceeds to clean the mirror. This leads to a big fight between Charles, Oliver, and Mabel, all having their own grievances to air with each other. Mabel is tired of trying to carry this investigation because the two of them clearly don't care. Oliver just wants his show to go on and not telling them that he's hiding the information about Loretta. And Charles is just feeling abandoned and alone, not just by Joy, but by everyone. This fight, of course, culminates in the trio breaking up and going their separate ways. Now, I knew, of course, that Jonathan was a massive red herring. I never thought he had anything to do with anything. But in finding out what he was doing with Dr. C, we found out more information about Ben, that they didn't discover amphetamines in his body during his autopsy. That's a bit strange. It's very clear at this point that Loretta, if she's not really the killer, which I firmly believe she is, she had something very much to do with it. Overall, this was a very interesting episode. I liked the new dynamic between KT and Howard, that they're really just kindred spirits who both felt like they turned their back on their own dreams. The trio breaking up was devastating. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it was just quite a gut punch, that fight between the three of them, and they played it off so well. I really feel bad for Charles because this guy just cannot catch a break. I thought this was a really strong episode. It put everything in a pretty interesting direction, and I can't wait to see how they come back from this in next week's episode. But those are just my thoughts on Only Murders in the Building Season 3, Episode 6. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Were there some clues I might have missed? Do you have any other suspects in mind? Was there anything that stood out to you? I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click the like button. You want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Click that notification bell so you get updates on all my future videos, especially my Only Murders in the Building videos. You can also follow my social media pages. Links are down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.